Being alone is one of the most powerful and transformative experiences a person can have. It is in solitude that we confront ourselves in the most unfiltered way possible without distraction, without external validation, without the comforting illusions that others provide. And yet, most people fear being alone. They treat it like a disease, something to be avoided at all costs. But why? Because when you're alone, there is no one left to blame, no one to distract you from the uncomfortable truths about who you are, what you lack, and what you could be. But that is precisely why solitude is so powerful. It is the crucible in which character is forged. In the absence of noise, you are forced to listen to one voice that truly matters, your own. And if you don't like what that voice has to say, that's a problem worth fixing. When you strip away the distractions, you come face to face with your weaknesses, your insecurities, and your failures. And that can be painful. But it is also the first step towards strength. The people who achieve the most in life are not the ones who are constantly surrounded by others. They are the ones who have spent time in solitude, thinking, refining their vision, and building themselves up from the inside out. Greatness is born in silence. It is in the lonely hours of hard work, discipline, and self-reflection that people carve themselves into something formidable. The world will always try to pull you toward comfort, toward distraction, toward the crowd. But if you want to be something more than average, you have to be willing to walk alone. Being alone is not a punishment. It is an opportunity to sharpen your mind, to master your emotions, and to become dangerous in the best possible way, capable, competent, and strong. If you can sit with yourself and not crumble under the weight of your own thoughts, if you can work relentlessly toward your goals without needing constant reassurance, then you become the kind of person who cannot be easily manipulated, who does not fall apart when the world gets tough. So, if you find yourself alone, embrace it. Let it harden you. Let it sharpen your mind. Use it to build a foundation so strong that when the time comes for you to stand in front of the world, you do so not as a weak and desperate individual seeking approval, but as someone who has already earned their own respect. Because at the end of the day, the person you will spend the most time with in life is yourself. Make sure that person is someone worth being alone with. Being alone is not just about physical isolation. It is a state where a person is left with their thoughts, emotions, and unfiltered reality. In today's world, where distractions are abundant and constant validation is sought through social interactions and social media, solitude is often misunderstood as loneliness. However, solitude presents a unique and powerful opportunity for self-confrontation, which is an essential process for personal growth. When an individual is alone, there are no external influences shaping their perception of themselves. Without distractions, they are forced to examine their strengths, weaknesses, desires, and fears. This kind of self-examination can be uncomfortable, as it often reveals personal flaws and unresolved insecurities. Many people avoid solitude for this very reason. They do not want to face their own shortcomings. They seek distractions in entertainment, social validation, or even unhealthy habits to escape from the difficult task of looking inward. But true growth begins when one stops running from themselves and starts acknowledging their own reality. Self-confrontation in solitude allows an individual to understand what truly drives them. It reveals the deeper motivations behind their actions, the patterns of their thoughts, and the emotional reactions they experience in different situations. This awareness is the first step toward personal transformation. A person cannot change what they refuse to acknowledge. By spending time in solitude and engaging in honest self-reflection, one gains the clarity needed to make meaningful improvements in their life. Moreover, being alone teaches self-reliance. Many individuals depend on external validation to feel worthy or capable. They shape their identity based on how others perceive them, which makes them vulnerable to manipulation and self-doubt. When a person learns to be alone without feeling empty or anxious, they build a strong foundation of self-worth that does not depend on outside approval. This internal stability is crucial because it allows a person to make decisions based on their own values rather than societal expectations or peer pressure. Another important aspect of self-confrontation in solitude is emotional regulation. When surrounded by people, it is easy to react impulsively, seeking immediate comfort or distraction from difficult emotions. However, being alone forces an individual to sit with their feelings, analyze them, and develop a deeper understanding of their emotional responses. This process strengthens emotional intelligence, making it easier to manage stress, frustration, and uncertainty in everyday life. A person who has mastered solitude is less likely to be overwhelmed by their emotions because they have already confronted and understood them. Furthermore, solitude fosters independent thinking. In a world filled with opinions, trends, and constant information, it is easy to be influenced by external narratives. Many people adopt beliefs and behaviors simply because they are widely accepted without questioning whether they align with their true selves. Time spent alone encourages critical thinking and self-discovery. It allows an individual to filter out external noise and develop their own perspective on life. Ultimately, solitude is not something to be feared but embraced. It is the space where self-awareness, emotional strength, and mental clarity are cultivated. By confronting oneself in moments of solitude, a person develops the ability to navigate life with confidence, resilience, and a deep understanding of who they are. Being alone is often perceived as a weakness, a condition to be avoided at all costs. People seek constant engagement, social validation, and external distractions to escape the discomfort of solitude. However, true strength is developed in moments of isolation. The ability to be alone and remain mentally strong is a defining characteristic of an independent, self-sufficient individual. Solitude teaches resilience, sharpens the mind, and fosters a deep sense of inner stability that cannot be easily shaken by external circumstances. One of the most powerful lessons learned in solitude is self-reliance. Many individuals depend on others for emotional support, validation, and decision-making. While social connections are valuable, excessive dependence on external sources weakens a person's ability to stand on their own. A strong individual must learn to trust themselves, think critically, and take responsibility for their actions without needing constant reassurance from others. Time spent alone forces a person to develop this inner strength that compels them to rely on their own judgment, make independent choices, and face challenges without always seeking help or approval. This builds confidence as they begin to see that they are capable of handling life's difficulties on their own. Beyond self-reliance, solitude cultivates emotional resilience. When surrounded by others, it is easy to seek comfort from external sources whenever stress, anxiety, or sadness arises. However, a person who has learned to be alone understands that emotions must be processed internally. Instead of reacting impulsively or seeking distractions, they develop the ability to sit with their emotions, analyze them, and find constructive ways to move forward. This skill is essential because life is unpredictable, and there will be times when support from others is not available. A resilient person knows how to manage their thoughts and emotions without falling apart when faced with adversity. Another advantage of embracing solitude is the ability to build independently. In a world dominated by trends, social pressures, and external influences, it is easy to adopt beliefs and behaviors without questioning their validity. Many people shape their identity based on the expectations of others, rather than discovering their true values and aspirations. Being alone provides an opportunity to reflect deeply on one's thoughts and beliefs. It encourages critical thinking, allowing a person to develop a sense of self that is not dictated by external forces. When a person is comfortable in their solitude, they are less likely to be influenced by societal pressures, manipulation, or fleeting trends. They make decisions based on their own reasoning rather than the opinions of the masses. The ability to be alone also enhances focus and self-discipline. Distractions are everywhere, and without discipline, it is easy to lose sight of one's goals. Those who embrace solitude learn to prioritize their time effectively, set meaningful objectives, and work toward them without needing external motivation. They cultivate a mindset that is driven by personal ambition rather than external validation. Ultimately, being alone is not a weakness but a strength. It is the foundation upon which true independence is built. Those who master solitude become self-sufficient, emotionally strong, and mentally unshakable. They do not rely on the world to define them, they define themselves. Great achievements are not born in moments of distraction or constant social engagement. They are crafted in solitude. The world's most successful individuals, whether in art, science, business, or personal development, have spent countless hours alone refining their skills, thinking deeply, and working relentlessly toward their goals. Solitude is where true mastery begins because it eliminates unnecessary noise and forces a person to focus on what truly matters. It is in these quiet moments of dedication that excellence is forged. When a person is alone, they have the space to develop an intense level of concentration. In today's fast-paced world, distractions are everywhere, and the ability to focus for long periods is becoming increasingly rare. Social interactions, digital notifications, and endless entertainment pull people away from deep, meaningful work. However, those who embrace solitude understand that greatness requires sustained effort and divided attention. They remove distractions, create an environment where they can think and work deeply, and immerse themselves in their craft. This ability to concentrate without interruption allows them to develop skills at a level that few others can reach. Beyond focus, solitude provides the opportunity for deep self-reflection and strategic thinking. Many people live reactively, constantly responding to the demands of others without taking the time to assess their own direction in life. They follow routines and external expectations without questioning whether they align with their true aspirations. Being alone allows a person to step back from the noise and evaluate their progress. It creates a space to think critically about personal and professional goals, identify areas for improvement, and develop a clear strategy for moving forward. The most successful individuals do not stumble upon greatness by accident. They plan, refine, and execute their vision with precision, a process that is only possible through moments of deep solitude. Solitude also fosters creativity. The greatest innovations and artistic breakthroughs have often come from individuals who spent long periods in isolation, exploring their thoughts without external influence. When a person is constantly surrounded by others, their thinking is shaped by external opinions, which can limit originality. However, in solitude, the mind has the freedom to wander, make unique connections, and generate ideas that would not emerge in a crowded, noisy environment. Creativity thrives when the mind is given the space to explore without constraints. Furthermore, solitude strengthens perseverance. The road to greatness is not easy, and setbacks are inevitable. Those who achieve the most in life are not necessarily the most talented, but the ones who can endure failure, push through challenges, and continue refining their craft. This kind of relentless persistence is developed in solitude. When no one is watching, no one is offering praise, and no immediate rewards are in sight, a person's true dedication is tested. Those who can keep working despite the absence of external validation are the ones who eventually reach extraordinary heights. Ultimately, solitude is not just a condition to be tolerated, it is an essential ingredient for success. It sharpens focus, encourages deep thinking, fuels creativity, and builds the resilience needed to achieve great things. Those who seek greatness must learn to embrace solitude, for it is in those quiet, undisturbed moments that they build the foundation for remarkable achievements. Discomfort and loneliness is not just an unpleasant feeling, it is a sign of an internal struggle that needs to be addressed. Many people experience unease when they are alone because they have never learned to be comfortable with their own thoughts. They seek constant engagement, distraction, or validation from others to avoid confronting their inner fears, insecurities, and unresolved emotions. However, this avoidance does not eliminate the problem, it only masks it temporarily. If solitude feels unbearable, it is not solitude itself that is the issue. It is the inability to face oneself. The fear of being alone often stems from a lack of self-awareness. When a person is constantly surrounded by others, they rarely have to engage in deep introspection. They shape their identity based on external influences, opinions of friends, expectations of family, or societal norms without truly understanding who they are at their core. But when those external influences are removed, they are left with nothing but their own mind. And for many, that is a terrifying experience. If a person finds solitude unbearable, it is likely because they do not fully know or accept themselves. Instead of seeing loneliness as something to escape from, it should be seen as an opportunity to develop self-awareness and personal growth. Another reason why solitude feels uncomfortable for many is that it forces them to confront their weaknesses. When engaged in constant social interaction, it is easy to avoid thinking about personal shortcomings. However, in isolation, there are no distractions, only raw self-reflection. This can be painful because it brings attention to unresolved emotions, unfulfilled goals, and personal limitations. But ignoring these weaknesses does not make them disappear. It only delays the inevitable realization that they need to be addressed. The discomfort and loneliness is a signal that there is work to be done. And those who embrace this realization can turn solitude into a powerful tool for self-improvement. In addition to personal insecurities, many people feel uneasy in solitude because they have not developed the ability to regulate their own emotions. When alone, there is no immediate external support system to rely on, which can make emotional struggles feel more intense. However, true emotional strength comes from within, not from external validation. A person who has mastered solitude learns to process their emotions independently, rather than relying on constant reassurance from others. They develop inner stability, which allows them to remain composed even in difficult situations. This emotional resilience is crucial because in life there will inevitably be moments where external support is unavailable. Those who can handle solitude with confidence are far better equipped to navigate challenges without feeling overwhelmed. Ultimately, the discomfort of being alone is not a weakness, it is a sign of an area that requires growth. Instead of fearing solitude, one should embrace it as an opportunity for self-reflection, emotional development, and mental strength. A person who learns to be comfortable alone becomes unshakable because their sense of self-worth and stability is no longer dependent on external factors. When solitude is mastered, loneliness is no longer something to be feared, but rather a state of empowerment and clarity. Mastering solitude is one of the most powerful steps toward true confidence. Many people mistakenly believe that confidence comes from external achievements, social validation, or the approval of others. While these factors can contribute to a temporary sense of self-assurance, they are not sustainable. True confidence is built from within, and the ability to be alone without feeling insecure or restless is a clear indicator of inner strength. A person who is comfortable in their own presence does not rely on the outside world to define their worth. Instead, they develop a deep sense of self-respect and assurance that remains stable regardless of external circumstances. When a person learns to enjoy their own company, they no longer feel the need to constantly seek attention, approval, or distractions. Many people fear being alone because they equate solitude with insignificance. They believe that if no one is watching, listening, or validating them, then their existence lacks meaning. However, this mindset is rooted in insecurity. A truly confident individual understands that their value does not decrease simply because they are not being observed. They do not need an audience to feel important. They know their worth inherently. Solitude also teaches self-validation. In a world where people constantly seek likes, comments, and praise to feel good about themselves, those who are comfortable in solitude stand apart. They do not depend on external feedback to determine their self-worth. Instead, they set their own standards and measure themselves against their personal growth and achievements. This level of independence is what separates those with true confidence from those who are merely seeking approval. When someone does not need others to affirm their value, they become unshakable in their sense of self. Moreover, mastering solitude allows a person to develop an unfiltered understanding of their own mind. When people are always surrounded by others, their thoughts are constantly being influenced by external opinions, social pressures, and cultural expectations. This makes it difficult to know what they truly believe, want, or stand for. However, when they spend time alone, they gain clarity. They can think deeply without interference, explore their true aspirations, and develop a strong, independent perspective on life. This clarity strengthens confidence because they no longer feel uncertain or lost. They know who they are and what they stand for. Another crucial benefit of mastering solitude is the ability to make decisions without fear. Many people struggle with decision-making because they are afraid of judgment or rejection. They hesitate, constantly seeking advice or reassurance before taking action. But those who are confident in solitude trust their own judgment. They do not need endless validation from others because they have already built a strong internal foundation. This decisiveness allows them to move forward in life with certainty, rather than constantly second-guessing themselves. Ultimately, a person who has mastered solitude becomes truly free. They are not controlled by the opinions of others, nor do they feel lost when external validation is absent. Their confidence comes from within, making it unshakable. When a person can sit alone with their thoughts, embrace their individuality, and trust themselves fully, they become someone who commands respect, not because they demand it, but because they have earned it from within.